Hey, it's Amy Shaw here. I'm about 4 weeks in. Tomorrow will be 4 weeks into healing from my broken ankle. So I'm still on my couch. I'm still trying to keep my leg elevated. Still kind of struggling with some swelling a little bit, but I'm doing a lot better. I'm actually able to put pressure and weight on my leg now, and I've gotten the green light to go ahead and do that with the assistance of crutches. So I'm definitely making progress. There's a couple things on my mind today, so I'm going to actually make 2 different videos. The first one is actually about the Mandela effect, and I kind of, was told by Spirit to stay away from Mandela effect right now, to not really make too many videos about it, not to talk about it too much. I don't really know why. I have my ideas, but I don't really want to get into that. I do want to just talk about some of my experiences that I've had, especially in the last year and a half. I had another one of those experiences this past week. What happened is I woke up and I had a notification on my phone that somebody, a friend of mine, had commented on my comment on their post. So I clicked on it and I looked on Facebook, and it was really strange to me because the post was made the previous night at about 9:30 at night, and my comment was made not too long after the post, around 9:30 at night. And then my friend was commenting on my comment. But that night before, I could almost promise you that I was not on Facebook. My husband and I were spending the evening in the living room, and we were watching Game of Thrones together. I was pretty enthralled with it. We have a lot of discussion about it, and we've been kind of pressed because I have this 14-day free trial on HBO. So we were kind of pressed to, get through it really fast, and I just haven't really actually been spending very much time on Facebook lately. So I was pretty certain that I had not been on Facebook the night before, but I recognized my comment and I recognized the post. But not only did I not recognize being on Facebook the night before, but the comment and the post felt like it had occurred over a week prior. Like it did not feel like it was just last night. It really, I promise you, I could almost like bet my life on it that occurred a week prior. So I commented to his comment and I said, oh, that's really strange because I remember this post happening like over a week ago. And then someone else commented and said the same thing, that they also had the experience of looking at, reading, and responding to the post over a week ago. So it kind of validated my experience. It's this very odd sort of time warp experience. Wow. We still got to make a video, you and I, about your hospital experience.
The shitty one?
Yeah, the shitty one. Anyway, I've had that experience happen a few times in the last year and a half. The last experience of this was similar. It was something that happened on Facebook. So this other thing that happened, which is really similar, but it may not actually fit in the same category because there is an explanation for it, although it's very strange and I don't fully understand it. So what happened in this incident is very similar. I woke up in the morning and I have a notification from Facebook, and it's, it's one of those things where it's saying like, share your memory from 6 years ago. Well, it was a really cute picture of my granddaughter, so I just clicked it to share it, and I didn't think twice about it. Well, later in the day, my friend sort of caught the error, and he commented it, and he said, how is this photo from 6 years ago when your granddaughter's only 5 years old? Well, I hadn't even thought about it. I hadn't even caught that. So I looked at it, and I thought, oh, that's really weird, and I was trying to, like, add up the math, and I was thinking I couldn't quite figure it out, but somehow in my mind, I was just thinking, like, oh, well, the first year doesn't count as a year, and I don't know. I had some crazy math idea in my head of how this occurred. And then I went back in a second time because it kind of bothered me. And the second time I looked at it and I was like adding it up, and I was saying, yeah, there's no way this could have actually occurred 6 years ago. My granddaughter was not born 6 years ago. And she was, probably 8 or 9 months old in this picture. So there's no way this picture was 6 years old. Well, what had happened is, I guess my friend went in, he told me, oh, you're being trickster. I wasn't intentionally being trickster, but I guess he went into the photo information on the photo, and there was the date that I uploaded it, which would have been much more accurate date given the age of my granddaughter and the age she was in the photo. And then there was the alleged date that the photo was taken. That was saying 6 years ago. So somehow there was a discrepancy, and Facebook was picking up on the date that the photo, I was claiming it was taken and not the actual date that it was uploaded. So I guess there's apparently like settings in Facebook that you can go and like alter the date. So for example, if I'm like uploading a picture of myself as a child, I'm uploading it today, but I can actually go into the settings and somehow put photo taken on, you know, and put the actual date, you know, 1978 or whatever that the photo was taken on. I've never actually done that. I've been on Facebook for years and years and years, and I've never actually changed the date on an individual photo like that, and I wasn't really quite aware that you could do that. So I have no idea how that discrepancy occurred, but it's interesting. It's interesting. So again, that may not actually fit in the same category as that sort of time warp or experience of time warp, because there is some kind of an explanation for it. But what I can't really explain is how those dates, how the discrepancies in dates occurred, and why that happened. So it was really just a bizarre moment where, you know, I got caught off guard by that, this sort of weird time gap. But I've had another couple incidences as well in the last year and a half of lost time, or like a time warp, a time bubble, a time skip. You know, I live in the Austin, Texas area, the greater area, and I'm always driving around. I go to pretty much the same consistent places all the time, so I know the route, I know the time to travel. There's very little variation of that, particularly because, you know, when you get certain patterns of going to certain places at certain times, you know the traffic flow and this and that, and so it's pretty predictable. There might be some variation because of weather, there might be an accident or something like that, obviously. But pretty much I know from point A to point B, it's this many miles, and it's going to take me approximately this many minutes, right? Well, twice last year in 2016, I had the experience of leaving a place and looking at the clock in my car and saying, oh, okay, it's this time, and I will be home by this time. And both times that I had this experience, you know, I traveled the same speed, the same route, the same traffic pattern, everything that I always do, but I got home in like half the time. It's not even logistically possible to do that. I could be speeding 120 miles an hour and still not get home in half the time. So it was really bizarre, and it was like, you know, you're just driving along and you're not really looking at the clock, you're not watching the clock. You know, both times I had Jared with me, so, you know, my son's in the car and we're just listening to music and I'm driving home. You know, you kind of get that little road trance or whatever going on, and then I get home and I look at the clock as I pull into the driveway and I'm like, what? How is that? No, that's not possible. And both times I thought, oh, the clock's wrong, it glitched or something happened, right? I don't know. So both times I come in the house and I look at the clocks in the house and it was the correct time. I cannot account for how in the hell I got home in half the amount of time. And I'm not talking about a difference between 5 minutes and 10 minutes. I'm talking about a difference between 30 minutes and 15 minutes. Like, it's a big gap, you know. I don't know, there's not really an explanation for it. And it's a very weird sensation when it occurs. Very, very weird sensation. I'm putting this in the category of Mandela effect because Cynthia Sue Larson, who has studied the quantum effect for decades and has been talking about it for a really long time, she was one of the, when I first started experiencing the Mandela effect, she was one of the first people that I encountered on YouTube and who made a lot of sense to me, who had a very sort of grounded, much more scientific background, and you know, wasn't getting carried away with all this, you know, Fiona Broom and all this, you know, sort of craziness about the Mandela effect. But she really talked about it, you know, from a scientific, you know, quantum physics, you know, very intelligent woman. So I followed her since I first found her. And she was one of the ones that was actually talking about, you know, this in the context of the same thing, like the quantum jumping of this experience of the loss of time or the gain of time, or, you know, some sort of time anomalies. So it's really interesting, and I just wanted to talk about it and share my experiences about it. You know, just the concept of time is really interesting. You know, time is definitely a very 3D experience. You know, we experience ourselves linearly in time. It's very, very woven in our language, all across culture, even in our spiritual understanding, you know, because we hear a lot of talk about past lives and things like this. So we still want to put things in a very linear timeline, you know. The interesting thing about that, though, is that, you know, shamans know and have known for centuries and centuries and centuries, 20, 30,000 years, as long as shamans have been altering consciousness and going into the spiritual realms, that outside of this 3D realm, time ceases to exist. Anytime you're meditating, you'll have that experience of the loss of time. Anytime you have any ego loss experience, however it is that you achieve that, you'll experience this timelessness, this sense of timelessness, where time becomes sort of just irrelevant. It sort of just escapes the concept of the mind. In shamanic journeying, you know, it's very much like that. It's very timeless space. So it's interesting to go to that space, to know that time really does not exist outside of the 3D reality, and then to come back into the 3D reality, and in my conscious mind, you know, in my 3D conscious cognitive thinking materialist mind, to experience these time warps or these time bubbles. It's just really, really strange, and I don't know. So anyways, I just wanted to share that and let you know, if you're experiencing these things, that you're not the only one. There's other people out here experiencing that too, and what a wild ride this is. But again, like I said, I didn't actually consciously start experiencing these time bubbles or time warps till about 1.5 years ago. So, you know, it's a newer phenomena for me. And it's definitely been interesting. So anyway, thanks for watching. As always, you guys, if you have questions or comments, keep them positive. And I love you guys so much, and have a great day.